Everyday People. I have Pamela with me today. She has so many wonderful gems to share today, not only about weight loss, but weight loss in menopause and also health conditions like thyroid stuff. So we're going to talk about all of that today. So welcome, Pamela.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Can
I
we
think
just,
it's awesome.
uh, can we
Such a,
just,
such
yeah,
a
get,
blessing, Rachel. I just want to say you are such a blessing on
oh,
because that is the big thing that's missing with a lot of these hCG programs. They don't have enough support.
oh.
And you're great. You really are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really enjoy it. You know, it's been fun like doing the interviews. I can't believe this is like, I don't know, the 51st episode or something. And like, I still remember doing the first one and thinking like, is this gonna be stupid? Is nobody gonna want this? Or, you know? And yeah, and it's so great hearing people's stories is really what it comes down to. There's
Yeah, I love it.
it's motivating. So well, why don't you tell us just your basics so that we know where your story comes from as far as your age, your health conditions, your height, just all of that stuff.
Okay. Well, I just turned 60 years old a couple weeks ago,
Okay.
and I weigh 127, 130, and that's normal to fluctuate 3 pounds. And I've been off of P3 now for a couple of weeks, a
Okay.
little over a week or two, something like
Wow.
that. This time, I'm not so obsessive about all the details because I've been so obsessive before, and it creates a lot of stress for me.
Right.
So I'm just happy because I'm at the weight. It is very comfortable for me. I am literally the same size that I was after I gave birth to my daughter at 25 years
Wow.
old. Yeah,
Wow.
so I told you I'd stand up and I tell you.
Yeah, let's see
You can,
this
yeah.
lovely little woman. You look fantastic.
I'm just a little thing. I'm 5'6", but size two.
Yeah.
So
You're
two to
5'2", you said?
yeah, no, five
Oh,
six,
5'6". Okay.
and I wear size two. You know,
Gotcha.
some clothes are different. They could be a 3, 4, whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah.
As
Yeah,
long as I'm
depending on.
fitting in those, I'm happy.
So you're size 2 now. What was your starting size and weight when you began the protocol?
Oh gosh, in 2010, I did my first round and I did prescription drops, went to a clinic and did all that.
Yeah.
And I was 157 pounds
Okay.
and I was wearing a size 12 flight attendant uniform.
Gotcha.
And before I realized I was fat, I didn't know I was fat.
Yeah.
My
You're like,
feedback from people was like, "Oh, you look so great," blah blah blah. My husband likes me a little more voluptuous, but that's just tough.
you're like, too bad. This is where I feel happy.
Right, me
Oh
too.
man. Gosh. So you essentially lost over 30 pounds about in your
35
journey,
pounds.
and we're going to get into the more details about that. Can you just give us a quick thing about like, do you have any health issues that you've had to deal with as well?
Well, in 2010, I did not have any health issues. I was super healthy, even though I was overweight.
Yeah.
Uh, like I said, I was ignorant. I didn't really know I was overweight. But what really woke me up to it was my mother had just passed away in March, and I went to the doctor and had like blood tests done and stuff. Just I did a yearly blood panel and things,
Yeah.
and that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I'm overweight and I don't want to end up like my mother because my mother, unfortunately, she was a overeater for as long as I can remember. And she died when she died. She was 74, and it wasn't until after she died that we found out that she weighed over 500 pounds.
Wow. Oh my
She had
gosh.
a point where she couldn't even go out or anything, and my sister was her caretaker.
Wow.
So that really woke me up when I went to the doctor, and I realized that, wow, I can't get that way. Like,
Yeah.
and I wasn't that kind of person. Like, I didn't eat like at night. I didn't eat like ice cream and stuff at night.
Yeah.
I do, and quite honestly, I really never saw my mom overeat ever. Like,
Yeah.
never. So,
Yeah, you probably don't. I mean, I think a lot of, I know when I overate, I didn't really do it in front of people, you know,
yeah.
do
Well,
it
yeah,
in
I
secret.
understand that, but you know that that's going on, and I've said
Right.
before, um, I knew it was the beginning of the end for my mother and I don't remember which year it was, but it was when grocery delivery started,
Oh,
from grocery stores, and this was in Southern California. And I remember she called me so excited. I just can't believe it. I can have my groceries delivered now. And she was, she had just had a knee surgery, so she thought this was just great. So she got into the habit of having her groceries delivered, and I immediately said, "Oh my gosh, this is the beginning of the end for my mom. Like,
wow.
she won't have to go out and grocery shop anymore or get picked up or any of that kind of stuff." And
Yeah.
so anyway, in June, so a few months after my mother's death, I just realized, my gosh, I have to make sure that I never get there.
Right.
I was literally petrified.
Yeah.
I was feeling,
Yeah. Well, it's some things that hit so close to home because it's your own mom. And then you also mentioned that you have siblings that have health concerns.
well, actually, not my direct siblings, not my brother and my sister,
Oh, okay.
but my father, his family. Of course, my mom had diabetes.
Yeah.
She had sugar issues for a long time.
Yeah.
And then my father, it's on my dad's side of the family. He's one of 8 children. He's the oldest. And my grandfather died of a heart attack at 65 years old. And
Gotcha.
he smoked heavily, drank, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then my uncle, he died. He lost 2 legs, part of 2 legs, and an eye, and then eventually he just died. And he was younger than my dad by several years.
Wow.
But my
Having
dad
diabetes.
got a wake up call very young, very very early on in his 50s. So he was a little younger than me when he stopped drinking alcohol and smoking and that kind of thing. And my
Yeah.
dad's 84 today, and he
Gotcha.
controls it with his diet, type 2, and he does great. He's super super healthy, and he's all here like he still pilots his own aircraft, and he's got hot rods, and
Wow.
he's still piloting them. But every one of his brothers and sisters have some form of diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just in our genes. It's in that gene
Right.
pool.
And it just goes to show that like that doesn't have to be the final say in the outcome, your genetic, because like your dad and you have like it was obviously a huge motivator seeing that outcome and realizing like no, I'm gonna do something about this, and you have, and it's worked.
Well, I started to notice. Actually, it was just in January, February. Not, no, I'm sorry. Got to back up. It was in December and January. I started to notice that I was feeling strange. Like I was having heart palpitations. I was
Yeah.
feeling like this horrible, like pressure all along my rib cage. Well, it might have been because I had a couple of rolls of fat there. Seriously, I did.
Yeah.
And because I just lost 22 pounds, and it's all like right in the middle. That's where we carry it, right,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
family. So it was just, I was having this pressure, and I wasn't feeling well. And something just said to me, check um, high blood sugar, low blood sugar online. So I did, and I realized, I went, oh my gosh, I've got like a problem. And so
Wow.
I called my dad, and he said, yeah, get a blood tester and test your blood. So I did, and I started tracking it down. And coincidentally, I'd already had, and so every morning I would check and then after I ate, 2 hours after I ate.
Yeah.
And, so coincidentally, I already had an appointment with my endocrinologist because some years ago, like 2 years ago, I ended up with, he said, Hashimoto's. And
Yeah.
I had bodies off the chart. They were like 850 or something.
Yeah, that's really high.
Yeah, and so he told me, he said, well, you have Hashimoto's, and once you have it, like the switch is thrown, it never goes away. And he was telling me all this stuff, and really, really scared me.
Yeah.
But I was testing my blood. I went in with my little list of my blood sugars,
What
and
can you just tell me, do you mind like sharing the range of blood sugar that you were having? The
yeah, and
numbers?
sure, it wasn't, because see, I didn't have the little tester when I was feeling the worst. It was like on a week.
Ah,
So
gotcha.
I got it like on a Sunday evening, and then I started testing it. But I will bet you it was like up into the 180 or something.
Gotcha.
And I did test. It was 139, 140. I
That's
think
still
40.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I went into him, and I immediately cut back on a lot of stuff that I was eating,
Yeah.
and took at my list. He took a look at my list, and he goes, "Well, I can tell you right now." He goes, "You're not pre-diabetic." He
Yeah.
said, "But you weigh 151 pounds," and he said, "You gain 5 more pounds you're going to be pre-diabetic, guaranteed. He said,
Wow.
so you can stay where you are, and that's fine for your height,
Yeah.
but I would encourage you, to maybe lose a few pounds just so that
Some fudge room.
yeah, some of these symptoms will, subside or whatever. I mean, he
Yeah.
was really straightforward.
Yeah.
And of course, in his office, he's used to seeing like really overweight people.
Right.
He's great. I have a really good doctor, and he didn't even
Nice.
want to put me on medication. I mean, he was so great
Good.
because I had a thyroid problem too. And he said, "Well, let's take you off thyroid meds for
Yeah.
30 days, and then we'll test your blood again." And he said, "If your thyroid's still making its own after that period," he goes, "I'm not going to put you on medication." So I was lucky. I have a really good doctor that
That's
way.
great. Yeah.
Needed thyroid meds since I was taken off because I was over medicated, and I had taken iodine, nascent iodine. I had taken too much. And so what
Oh.
happened was it had created like an explosion, and that's what created the Hashimoto's symptoms.
I'd love to actually come back to that, to the Hashimoto's and the iodine thing, and talk more about that. So with the blood sugar thing, though, you were like 139, 140 initially, and then
Mhm.
how has that changed, like post year
Oh,
round and everything now? Because I know that that's higher. Like I think mine are usually like barely over 100, like 90 to 100 or something when I occasionally will check. And there was a time when I was binging, years ago on sugar, and I knew, of course, it was a bad thing for me, but I was just a mess. But I decided to check it after having like a huge amount of cookies because, yeah, I felt really strange, and it was like 175, and I was like, what am I doing to myself, But
yeah.
yeah, so what's your blood sugar levels now?
Well, when I started, of course, I started, every day recording, and then I started the diet. And immediately, I was just right in that sweet spot, anywhere between 80 and 105.
Nice.
And it kind of fluctuated like that for the
That's
first
great.
week. I was getting rid of some of that carbohydrate buildup.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it just all normalized
Cool.
anywhere from 90 to 105. So
Cool.
that's where I'm at now.
Great. Yeah, and that's such a health. That's like a healthy range. So,
I mean, I'm perfectly,
yeah,
balanced now. And although I have had a couple of things, since I've been off of P3,
yeah.
I've had, I can't eat the Razel. I can't have like two waffles. Like I can't, I mean, I just wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah, and what happened?
The next morning, of course, I didn't gain anything, but I woke up the next morning and I was like 137.
Yeah.
And so when I told the doctor, because I said, yeah, but what about that 140 on there? He goes, look, that's life. He goes, your body is made, it's a chemical machine. It is made to fluctuate
Yeah.
because you're living your life.
Yeah.
He said, when you live your life in the wrong lane too long, that's the problem.
Right.
So you need to find the middle ground where it's, in balance. So,
Right.
I mean, he was really good at helping me understand that. So,
That's good. Interesting. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Maybe we can talk for a little bit now about, yeah, the Hashimoto's and the thyroid thing and the iodine. I would love to hear just that story. Like, yeah, what you think caused it. Because I'm fascinated by this, and a lot of women have Hashimoto's. I mean, that's the leading cause of hypothyroidism is Hashimoto's, but actually a lot of women don't even know they have it. But also because you discussed that you feel kind of basically cured in a way from it, from what you did. So yeah, so how did it start?
well, as a matter of fact, I had just done a round of hCG
Yeah.
right after we moved here. We've lived here a couple of years, and I was feeling great. I had so much energy. I was out walking every day. I was just feeling so good, and I was taking nascent iodine, which I had taken over the years,
Yeah.
but I took too much. I was really it was stupid. I mean, you're supposed to only take like 3 drops, and I would just take like a little squirt.
Really?
I didn't have a clue. Like I didn't know,
How
and
powerful it was. Well, you feel like, oh, it's just like a supplement. It's
yeah.
natural. Like you feel like with B vitamins, you just pee the extra out. So,
Yeah, I would just squirt it into my little smoothie thing that I made,
gotcha.
and and at first I felt so good, and I was
Yeah.
on that thyroid med. I had the smallest grain of
Oh,
nature thyroid, the very
okay.
smallest.
Nature thyroid. So you were on desiccated thyroid, which is a natural form of real thyroid from some animal source usually. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So you
and
were
I
on
had
like a half grain or 1 grain, you said?
whatever the smallest one. I think it's a
Okay.
1 quart. But so anyway, after doing the hCG, because I suspend all that, I don't do thyroid med on hCG. Dr. Simeon says no.
Yeah.
So I suspended that. Little
Okay.
did I know, I should have left it alone and just like never taken it again. But
Yeah.
then what happened was I came back to it
Yeah.
and I started taking the iodine and it just, my body just went, what the heck is going on here? So
Yeah.
first I felt really good. And then all of a sudden I just started to feel really spacey, really tired, really, just really fatigued.
Yeah.
I can't even remember all the symptoms I
Just like
had.
seriously not right.
Oh, I mean, I really thought I was dying at one point.
Oh.
And so I just went looking for, I found this doctor, the endocrinologist, and he's the one that took me off, thank God.
Yeah.
He took me off of everything.
Yeah.
And so he helped me. And then I also found something called Digesta Cure, which I mentioned in my little thing I wrote you.
Yeah, feel free to talk about that too, so for
Oh,
everyone listening.
that stuff is incredible. But I found that like 6 months, actually about 4 months later, just online. I just went online looking for like a natural way to strengthen my immune system because I realized that Hashimoto's is a symptom
Right.
of a poor functioning immune system, and I also had leaky gut.
Yeah.
And the reason that I knew that I had leaky gut, because remember, again, I learned this by researching online.
Yeah.
So I've always pretty much researched for myself.
Which is
I trust
smart.
the
Yeah.
doctors as much as I can in my whole life.
Right.
So hardly ever been ill. But anyway, um, I just found this stuff. And I realized when I read all the symptoms and I read the testimonials, I went, oh my gosh, that's me. I've got the Hashimoto's and all this stuff. So my doctor said once the antibodies are switched on, they never go away. You can dial them back, but they never, ever go away completely. So I believed that
Yeah.
until I started taking the Digesta Cure, and I took that. They have support. They have support with it,
Yeah.
and on the phone, and it took me 18 months, and until I felt, or it took me a year until I felt like, wow, I'm doing really well. I went and had all my antibodies tested, and
Yeah.
guess what? None.
That's amazing. No antibodies.
No antibodies.
Wow.
And I was like, "Are you sure that's correct?" And she said, "Yeah, you don't have any antibodies." So, and I told her what happened. She goes, "Well, apparently you were misdiagnosed." This was another doctor. She said,
Yeah,
"Well,
not if you had 800
yeah."
before.
What I realized, and I talked to the gentleman at the Digestive Cure support line.
Yeah.
Um, they're very helpful, and he told me. He said, "No," he said, "I don't believe that's true. Like, it works all the way down into the bone marrow, which is where the immune system is
Wow.
fueled from the bone marrow, right? So,
Interesting.
and so, oh, I wanted to mention the leaky gut. I knew I had leaky gut all of a sudden because I would just have a sip of wine because I like to have a glass of wine in the late afternoon,
Yeah.
and I would just have a sip of wine and it would go straight to my brain.
Wow.
Literally within 20 seconds, I just was like, whoa, I just have a sip.
Yeah.
How I kind of put everything together. So basically what was happening, my body wasn't metabolizing it. It was literally just leaking right into my bloodstream without
Wow.
the chemical process of,
Yeah.
it does with digestion. So
Yeah.
I figured it out. And then I
Interesting.
was guided to the Digesta Cure, because I found it online and I
Yeah.
read all the testimonials and I went, wow, this is me. I've got to
Yeah.
try this stuff. And
Yeah.
so it's not, hold on just a second.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's not, this is it right here. Okay.
Yeah. So for you guys, if you're just listening to the podcast version, it's called Digesta Cure. So digest a cure, all one word, and then autoimmune dash X. We'll
I
have a
don't,
we'll have a link to it in the show notes for you
yeah,
guys. And then can you tell everybody what it is? Like what is it composed of?
you know what? All it is a super potent uh, strain of aloe vera. That's
Cool.
all it is. But
Yeah.
it's not the same as other aloe veras because people think, oh, well, I'll just take some other stuff. It doesn't work the same. This
Yeah.
stuff is grown in a lab under like strict conditions.
Yeah.
You can only get it from this company. It's a proprietary. You don't need a doctor to buy it. It's a supplement. It's all
Yeah.
natural.
That's
That's
cool.
all it is. And it has let's see, it's a proprietary extract blend of immune modulating components derived from a 20th generation cultured aloe botanical consisting of, and then it's got, um, this is what it is. It's actually made with these long chain molecules.
Yeah.
Uh, you'd have to go on the website because I
Sure.
can't,
Yeah, we'll have a link to it for everybody. Yeah.
but definitely works. But just go to digestacure.com. That's where you order, or you could just go to drrondrucker.com.
Okay.
He does not sell this, but he is happy to help anybody. I mean, the guy is just an amazing humanitarian. I actually never had to call him because I found all my answers on his website.
Nice.
That's how
Awesome.
comprehensive it is, and the
Great.
testimonials are amazing.
Testimonials are big too. Like we always want to read like how much someone's been helped or how, before. So that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and on there, I mean, there's so many quote unquote ailments,
Yeah.
like clusters of symptoms that they give funny names to.
Right.
And they all, literally, they all go back to your gut because when
Yeah.
you heal your gut, then, like in my case, my gut was the first thing I noticed that start symptoms I had. I mean, I literally had joint pain, like joint stiffness, just from sitting on
Yeah.
the couch. And that went away in 2 days.
Wow. So
Stuff.
I'm curious so you said you took it for about a year to 18 months and then you were feeling really good. So did you take it daily that whole time and how did you feel? And then do you take like a maintenance thing now with it or?
I do, and I really don't want to be without it.
Yeah.
Uh, and you can just go. Eventually, people get to the point where they just get down to taking one a day as just a little supplement, you know.
Yeah.
But I know that I still need it a little bit because my condition was very serious.
Yeah.
So it's not going to go away real fast, and it's
Right.
one of those things that you just have to be patient with. And the average dose is 8 per day.
8 capsules?
Yeah, in fact,
Okay.
I'll just show you. They're just like little. They're
So
just
you
little
take so you would take like 8 a day and then like
capsules.
split up into multiple doses
Yeah,
or all at once? Okay.
yeah. I would just take like 4 and 3 or 2. You know, I just split it
Yeah.
up throughout the day.
Gotcha.
So I
Yeah.
take some at night, and I take some around lunch. I take them in the morning when as soon as I got up. And when I started working, about a year, not quite a year, it was maybe 6 months after I started taking it, I called them and I said, yeah, I'm still having this going on because they want you to keep track of like how much better do you feel. So
Yeah.
he said, so what's the percentage? What's the percentage of how well you're doing compared to where you were?
Yeah.
I'd say that I am, 80% better.
Yeah.
So he would just work with me on adjusting the dose, and he said, you know what? I'm going to encourage you to take 12 a day, work up to 12. So if you're at 8, you do 9 the next day, then 10, then 11, till you get to 12. So you don't do them all at once. So
Gotcha.
when you first start it, you do one, and then
Okay. So you don't just start with 8. Okay.
exactly, you just build up.
Build up.
So I did what he said, and my symptoms completely disappeared.
Wow.
Such a multitude of symptoms. And it's, because I don't think about it anymore, I
Yeah.
don't really remember all the symptoms that I had. I just know
Yeah.
that it's normal. You
It's
know,
funny how like because I've had remissions of my different illnesses at different times, and it's funny how quickly when you feel good again, that you forget about all the torture and pain you were in. Like, you just get back to living life and you're so happy and you feel normal and then sometimes I've had things come back and you're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that this is like you forget because you're just so happy to live life again."
thankfully, that's good because
Yeah.
otherwise you turn into a hypochondriac, and
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And for
Right.
me, whenever I don't feel well, I honestly feel like I'm dying
Yeah.
because my life, I mean, up until this point, I had only had the flu one time in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I remember it. It was 1985. I
Oh.
remember it. My children were young,
Yeah.
and I was flat on my back, and I had to have a woman come in and take care of my kids that worked for us on our farm. This was
Wow.
who worked for us in the summer. She came in and took care of my children. I was flat
Wow.
on my back for 2 weeks with the flu, and that's
Wow.
the first time I've ever had the flu. And I was a flight attendant, and I didn't even get sick
That's
when I flew.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I took algae. I mean, I did do things to strengthen my immune system, but man,
Right.
I worked in a petri dish for goodness sake.
Yeah. Well, I know. Yeah. That's totally like a
Yeah,
breeding ground.
it really is. So,
Well, you know what? I wanted to interject just for anyone who's not as familiar with just for anyone, because this was such good information with Hashimoto's, just to explain what it is a little bit. So Hashimoto's is an as thyroid disease basically. It's an autoimmune disease where your
right.
body attacks your thyroid, and then what happens is you basically your body produces antibodies to your thyroid. And so the way you find that out is through there's actually two lab tests. They're very simple that can be run, and if you have hypothyroidism, it's very possible that you have Hashimoto's, but doctors usually don't test for it because they actually, the treatment that they do is essentially the same, which is just thyroid medication. So they don't actually treat Hashimoto's. So for them, it kind of doesn't matter whether you have it or not because there's nothing they're going to change about their treatment protocol. But the reason it's very important as a person for you to want to know that you have it or not is because there are things you can do. I think this is a really neat thing to consider looking into. And then also even things like removing gluten,
Oh,
because I have Hashimoto's too. That was huge for me. Even though I do have still small, like the last time I checked my antibodies, I don't do it often, but mine originally also were very high. So on a test, it's like if anything over 60 or something means that you technically have Hashimoto's. Um, and mine were like 750, I think, initially, and now it's like probably 60 or something like that. But yeah, removing gluten, and I do not have it at all. And so that's a big thing for a lot of people as well. Although it sounds like if you actually healed your gut enough, maybe it wouldn't cause as much of a problem.
well, the thing is, from taking that, I don't have a gluten issue anymore. It's
Cool.
gone.
That's cool.
Because the reason that you have a gluten problem is not only because of what you eat, the
Yeah,
quality of food that you're consuming,
right.
but it has to do with your gut. Like
Yeah,
if
your
your
gut
gut
lining.
is leaky
Yeah,
from, having a weakened immune system, because that's really what it is,
yeah,
um, you're going to be sensitive to glutens. You're going to be,
right.
sensitive to a lot of things. And so what I did, I immediately felt better by cutting out the glutens in the beginning. Like
Yeah,
when I
initially.
felt I had leaky gut, I cut out the gluten
Yeah,
completely, and I felt better. And
yeah,
I started feeling better slowly, but I still wasn't well. And then I found the
right.
Digesta Cure. So
Yeah,
I don't even have a gluten problem. I don't even think, oh, that's got gluten in it. I
right.
can't have,
No, that's
because
great.
it's not true anymore. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm fine. Like my gut is
yeah.
healed.
That's so cool.
I can
That's
tell
awesome. I know,
because
I'm curious. The only, I would love to try it. I think maybe something has changed, but like actually it sounds weird, but both my husband and I, we kind of have a little bit of an allergy, is what we think, to aloe vera. So that's actually my one concern. In the past, we've actually tried some things with that, but maybe it was, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. Like we've even having it on our skin, it's turned red and inflamed. Yeah, so that
well,
was
this
like
is
a hard
so.
thing, but I don't think hardly anyone is allergic to that usually. I just think we're a little weird. We have other health things as well, so I don't know, it complicates it. But I love this idea. That would be amazing.
Well, you could get one bottle, and you could both just try it, and just start with one and go up to 8, like it says.
Yeah,
And one
yeah,
bottle, I mean, this stuff is not cheap. It's $149, but there's 270 capsules in here, so this lasts a
yeah,
couple.
yeah, that's
And
great.
my husband was on it as well for a while, and so
Yeah,
what he did was he just bought like a larger lot of it. So basically, you get like a free bottle.
sure. Since you guys know you use it, yeah.
Yeah, and he knew I needed it. I told him, I said, Barry, I'm on this for
The
for at
long
least
haul.
a little longer. But you know what? It's so much cheaper than going to a doctor,
Oh,
and all
yeah,
they do is
yeah,
give you a prescription because they don't really know what's wrong with you.
yeah.
That's my
And you
experience.
really can't put a price on like quality of life when it comes to, because I'm very familiar with digestive troubles, and it really hampers your quality of life when there's a lot of foods that you can't eat, or that when you do eat them, you're in a lot of pain. Like, you can't put a price on not having that problem anymore?
Oh,
So,
when you mention that, that's one of the horrible symptoms that I had, was just this horrible bloating. Just
yeah,
I always felt like I'd eat something and I would just puff up like a balloon, like you
wow,
know, and that's gone completely.
that's so
I don't,
awesome.
I never bloat
That's
anymore.
great.
Of course,
And that makes
I'm
it possible to maintain weight better as well when you're not having those issues as well. Why
So I
don't
was,
we actually talk about let's see, what was I gonna we were talking about the health thing. Oh yeah, so because you did some rounds in 2010 and you actually maintained for quite some time, and then recently you had a round because of some reasons that caused the weight gain. Do you want to tell us that story about that?
sure. Okay, so what happened was in 2010, I did half a round. And that, and it was difficult because, I was somebody who was like, wow, I'm used to eating whenever and whatever I wanted.
Yeah,
Obviously, I
yeah,
didn't know, I didn't get on a scale. I didn't know I was fat, right?
yeah,
Doctor. But I remember at the beginning, my husband and I were both going, like, we drive by some place that was one of our favorite places, and we go, oh God, I can have that. Oh my gosh. And then we go, but I'm not hungry because I was never hungry on the hCG. And I found that it took about a week
yeah.
or days to completely like get over that because I realized, oh, that's just a habit. That's just a trigger. When I
Right.
try, it's like, oh, I want.
Yeah,
No, it's just a trigger.
yeah.
So that was the first round, and then half round, and
So half
then
round, you mean like 3 weeks? Is that what
the
you
three.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I had the drops, the prescription drops,
yeah.
and my husband and I both had great success on there.
Great.
And I lost 21 pounds that first round. And then I did exactly what Dr. Simeon said. I was a purist. I mean, I never cheated, and I'm telling you the truth. I never cheated. I followed that thing to the letter. And the nurse at the clinic said, you know what? When you get off of hCG, she said, if you just keep your carbs under 100 a day, she goes, there's no way you can gain weight. She
Yeah,
goes, I've seen it time and again. She goes, just remember, under 100 carbs a day. And
yeah,
that really stuck with me. So afterwards, and I got onto P3, I like to eat that way. And I pretty much just carried it through. And occasionally I would have part of a waffle when we go
yeah,
out to breakfast or something, but I've just never been a big sweets eater. Mine has been mostly those salty carbs, like
yeah.
things. And they just were not a part of my reality anymore. They're just not in my life. And
Yeah.
then I did another round, another half round, and I got down to another point, and I was like, wow, I feel great. I was 127, and
Yeah.
I felt good. And then after that, I noticed from looking at my charts that my weight went back up to like 135, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm getting fat again. And I'm not fat at 135 at all, but that's
Yeah.
how it felt after being 127 pounds.
Right. It's that contrast.
And I was like, well, wait a second. Yeah, I am fat because this is how much I weighed 127 after I gave birth to my daughter, like my second child.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm fat. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do an experiment. I'm going to do another half round. I'm going to see how low I can get. This is an experiment that I did.
Yeah.
Just, I wanted to lose 5 pounds or something. And then I thought, well, I'll just stay on this diet until I get to my rock bottom because Dr. Simeon says that,
Yeah.
abnormal fat will stop circulating and you'll get really hungry. I
Yeah.
thought, really? So I tried it, and it's absolutely true. I got to 122 pounds within, I think, the first 2 weeks on that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm starving. I started starving. I mean, I
Yeah.
felt like starving. So I just went up with my calories, but I stayed on, of course, to finish the round because you have to do that.
Yeah.
So I did, and then I just evened out at 125,
Yeah, which is awesome.
and so that's why I feel that's real thin for me. That's probably a few pounds that I am right now,
Yeah.
um, and that's really thin. But it's always nice to go lower than what you think your goal is because you're
Yeah.
going to, that when you're when
Right.
you're when you are stabilizing, you're going to go up. I usually go up about 3 pounds, and
Yeah.
I fluctuate in a 3 pound window. And sometimes I go down. I went down after this round. I actually went down a couple pounds.
Mm.
And then I fluctuated back up,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And then for a whole year, and at that time I was flying, and I had a routine. I flew the same trips. I was a purser, and I flew New York, LA. That's all I flew.
Yeah.
So I had a great, routine with the same hotel, a lot of the same crew. I had the same food available to me in first class because I was a purser. I got to eat leftovers.
What's a purser? I'm sorry, I don't know much about like flight attendant stuff. What's the jargon?
Oh, a purser is like an onboard manager, if you will, but
Okay.
union member. I mean, you're still like part of the
Okay.
tribe. It's
Gotcha.
just, I was a purser, so I'd have 8 other flight attendants besides me, and then also I would have my 10 customers in first class. We had a 3 class to New York,
Gotcha.
so I had my customers up there, and then other flight attendants, they have their jobs. So
Yeah.
then I interface with cockpit agents and all that stuff. So all the
Cool.
stuff goes through me, all the problems come to me
Gotcha.
that you resolve, that kind of thing. That's what the purser does. They're just there to like manage everything and make sure
I
everything
see.
continues to run smoothly because it's a big plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So they're the big ones. But
Right.
I flew New York, LA.
Gotcha.
So I had this routine. It was easy. I wore size 2 pants. I mean, my jackets were bigger, but they were,
Yeah.
they fit.
Yeah, you're
They were,
obviously little. Yeah,
they
and so
were,
you maintained that for quite a while.
yeah. And so I even had to like find special pants that fit me better. They were pilot pants. I remember I used to order them from. I'd go to DFW and get them there
How
um,
funny.
because they fit better.
Yeah.
And so that felt really good. And I was so happy for so long. And what was so wonderful was, I mean, nobody could believe how different I looked.
Yeah.
And they were like, literally, they would see me and they'd go, they hadn't seen me in a long time because you
Yeah.
don't see the same people all the time. Like some months you don't see the same people. They couldn't believe how thin I was. They're like, you weren't fat before, but you look amazing now. That's what I used to hear.
Sometimes people don't realize, like what you could look like because they're just used to how you are.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool, and I was able to just keep it really. I was strict. I mean, I basically stayed on P3
Yeah.
for at least a year, just having the occasional like piece of like half of a cupcake or
Yeah.
whatever I wanted. I would just have a few bites rather than like a whole thing, and I
Yeah.
wasn't the person that would sit down and just like eat a whole bag of chips or something.
Yeah.
Because I had the routine and I was very active because I was also an equestrian, so I was horseback riding
Cool.
and doing a lot of barn chores, and I would do those like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So I was always moving. I
Yeah.
was always moving, and then a year later, a lot of things happened that I
Yeah.
don't really want to go into, but I ended
Sure.
up um, I moved and it was so strange because I remember I have all this stuff written down. I was so strict about keeping my weight every day, like on this chart. And all of a sudden, after moving, I just started feeling strange and started gaining weight. And it was horrifying because
Wow.
I gained 20 pounds in a month and a half. Like,
Wow.
that is like crazy.
And you
So
didn't
I
know why, really.
I did, and I was under a whole lot of stress. Okay, so it was PTSD related,
Gotcha.
and I wasn't working anymore. Then I found out I can't work anymore. I had to actually retire, uh,
Wow.
and at that point, I had also found my doctor locally where I lived
Yeah.
in California, and she also did the hCG. Um, and when she tested me for hormones and all that stuff, I had no hormone function.
Oh
She
my
said,
gosh.
you have the hormones of a 90-year-old woman. She goes, basically,
Wow.
have no hormone function.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she just read off a list she goes, and your thyroid is not functioning at all. She goes,
Wow.
you have no hormone support. That's why you're gaining weight. She goes, you have no metabolism right now. That's why
Wow.
you've gained weight so fast. So in my case, it was totally stress induced. It was just like
Wow.
I've been under so much stress for a long time that
Yeah.
eventually and I moved away from the stress triggers. And
Oh.
I have found this to be true. My husband used to be a workaholic, and when we'd go on vacation, he would immediately get ill because he no longer had to answer the phone or be on call, right?
Gotcha. So it's like
So,
your body finally realizes, like, oh, I can kind of do what I've been needing to do or something in a way.
yeah. So
Wow.
so that's what happened. I moved. I was in this place where I felt really safe. I didn't have any of the triggers that were causing me so much stress.
Yeah.
Body just finally just
Like
relaxed.
kaput.
I got it cool now. I don't need to hold it together anymore.
Right.
That's the feeling I had inside. So
Wow. So how
doc,
long did that go on, do you think? Was that years of kind of buildup or?
yeah, it was. I mean, it
Wow.
was. I'd had a few periods of time where I couldn't work.
Wow.
I mean, this was all workers' comp related and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
it gets to a point where, your body can't function anymore.
Right.
And at the same point, that's when I learned that I can't go back to my career, which was
Yeah.
devastating for me. I mean, it was just like more devastation on top
Wow.
of already the problems, and then gaining fat, and then gaining.
Yeah.
So after
Wow.
2012, because I kept it off from 2011 to 2012 until June of 2012. And then I did another round, and it was like pulling teeth, and I had to be on it for 40 days, and so I
Yeah.
would like wait, but it took forever because I had no hormone support, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I was really careful about watching my diet, and then I had some other health issues pop up, and I mean, it just was one after
Endless.
another. Because when you have the stressors, and I was still dealing with that internal stress,
Right.
and stress and all that kind of thing, because it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you can learn how to dial it back, but
Yeah.
you're still going to have a trigger occasionally.
And
But
think of it.
yeah, it's a period of time. Over a period of time, you learn how to deal. Like right now, where I live, I don't have any triggers where I live. But as soon as I get on the highway, and I smell diesel from a
Oh,
truck,
gotcha.
it'll trigger me. Yeah,
Wow.
those things. But
Crazy.
now I go, okay, it's just a trigger. Okay,
Yeah.
breathe. Okay, so now I know how to do it. See, before I couldn't even. I
You didn't
couldn't
like
even.
have coping mechanisms yet because it was all so new.
Now,
Wow.
the triggers are so physiological that it would cause panic.
Right.
Um, I mean, and that's why you can't panic when you do the kind of career that I have. Like you just
Because you have to be ready for emergencies.
yeah,
I'm like,
you
I
have,
don't want to sit next to the part of the plane that opens up when there's an emergency, please. Like, I don't think I can handle that.
I just love my career. But you know what? I'm happy that I'm not in it. I'm grateful. I'm blessed because I wouldn't even be here. I mean, I'm in
Yeah,
this beautiful place in East Texas, and
cool.
I wouldn't even be here. So I give thanks, and I
Good.
bless every single person who put me here.
Yeah.
So I'm at a place where I'm so grateful for the experience of a lifetime, really.
Yeah. Well, it
So
sounds like you've just been through so much, but you've worked through it. But it also, I just think it's interesting that um, weight is not always food related. It sounds like you actually have a pretty healthy relationship with food. You don't binge on sugar like I've had to deal with, and yet just you guys, it shows how like hormones and post traumatic stress or really stressful things, you can gain weight even though you're eating normally. It's a
yeah,
very real thing.
yeah,
Um, which you do have to find a way to get control over in some way, you know.
yeah. And so it was just from 2012 until this year. It's been a struggle. It's been the
Yeah,
yo-yo. I didn't
gotcha.
even know what a yo-yo was,
Yeah,
dieting thing, because I never
yeah,
had. Okay, I never
right.
had it before. I mean, I was so successful on those 3 half rounds of hCG. It was super easy for me. I lost the weight. I kept it off because I had that underlying motivating factor of my mother dying.
Right.
So that's what kept me going. And now my motivation for staying where I'm at right now is my health,
Yeah,
because I noticed immediately, like I said, I had something and it caused my blood sugar to go right up. I didn't feel good. I woke up in the morning, I
yeah,
went, something's wrong. So I test because I don't do it every day anymore because I can tell, I know how I feel.
hmm,
And right away, I've done it twice. I've had 2 times in the last 2 weeks
yeah,
where I have eaten the wrong things.
yeah,
I've gone up. So I wake up in the morning and I've just gone and got that like hungover, like, feeling like a
yeah,
sugar, right?
yeah,
Because stuff you eat and drink, it turns to sugar.
yeah,
It's wrong stuff. And I just really believe that, the carbohydrate, it saturates your bloodstream, and that's what makes you gain after you do a round, because you have to, you have to ease back in slowly because your body's going, hey, wait, don't give me too much because it's too much of a flood. It's a chemical
right.
flood to the
Yeah,
system trying to
yeah,
deal with that additional carbohydrate. But if you do it slowly and you just stick with it, and you can keep it off, because I mean, I know how to keep it off. But see, before, when I had the immune problems, I was doing all the right things.
yeah,
It didn't matter because my hormones weren't balanced. My gut was not healed.
yeah,
I had still had the thyroid problem, and by the way, on top of that, what sent me to the endocrinologist was I had those tests done where they test your arteries and stuff. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, they do it with an ultrasound.
Okay.
They found nodules on my thyroid, like
Oh,
big size ones, and they said you need to see an endocrinologist. So that's how I ended up there. They
gotcha.
you know, they aspirated it, and it wasn't cancer, and I knew it wasn't because I've had that in the past, where that had happened in the past. That's
Yeah.
why they had the thyroid thing. And so even though I had nodules, I didn't have cancer, and I still have not taken thyroid medication since.
Yeah.
So because I have healed my gut, my body is now functioning properly. My
That's so
thyroid
good.
functions completely fine.
That's great. And then how about like your other, do you mind if I ask the other hormones? Like have those been able to, since you said you didn't really have any, were they able
Right?
to balance that for you? Like do you take
Well, I
bioidentical hormones or?
was taking bioidentical hormones up until I did this round. And
Gotcha.
of course, I suspended them because, they have oil in the
Yeah.
cream. It's the bioidentical, like Mexican yam stuff that's mixed with the cream.
Right.
And so I stopped taking it. And you know what? Every one of my hot flash symptoms just disappeared. I mean,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
because that is also, ladies, I'm just here to tell you, that is also diet related. Okay. And since I've been off of P3, I have added other things to my diet. Like I've had more wine, I've had like my glass of wine, and I've had, like, I have a rule, no wine without food, okay? Um, because that's not good. But, it absorbs slower. And I'm not a wino, don't get me wrong. I just like to have my
Of
glass.
course. Yeah.
I don't drive anywhere, I don't do anything, I'm just like relaxing. But yeah, I have noticed when I've had like those waffles, I had some waffles. Oh my gosh, I got so hot because I had too many carbohydrates in my system. I'm telling you. I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as I cut those out and just do strict like protein, vegetables,
Yeah.
and fruits, none. And I'm
Wow.
60, and so
Interesting.
I still get those occasional, like I'll get warm, but I won't get it as bad as I did before. When I was on the diet, I had no symptoms whatsoever.
That's so
So,
nice. Yeah.
and I'm not going to
Interesting.
go back to the bioidentical hormones. I don't, at this point, I really don't feel the need to. It's not
Yeah.
bad enough for me.
Yeah. Well, if
That
you can feel good and balanced without things, then why not,
I
And I
just don't
like,
feel
yeah, I liked what you said too about keeping carbs to 100 grams or less because that's kind of, um, in the P3 program I designed, it's like that. And also, I found once I tracked my own eating, because I've been maintaining for actually almost 5 years, it'll be November. It's about me too, also, because I actually do eat phase four style carbs in the sense that like I'll have organic corn tortillas, for instance,
that.
or I do have gluten-free bread, so that's made from rice. But what I realized is I guess the amounts that I end up having, my carbs are still like you said, 60 to 100 a day. So that is considered a low carb diet still, you guys, because I didn't used to know the details about this. Like with the Atkins induction thing, it's like a lot of us have kind of thought that like, oh, anything over 20 grams of carbs is high carb. It's like, no. You can
Yeah,
get, in order to be able to even have vegetables, there's got to be room for some carbs, but it's really not hard to eat 100 carbs or less a day. Like
okay.
I honestly feel like I eat fairly like a normal person, and I'm eating that or less. So it's not like it's a diet way to live. You know what I mean? Like it feels like a healthy way to eat every day.
Yeah, well, I have to say, since I've been off the diet and I don't expect to go back,
Yeah.
I probably won't go back to tortilla chips. Okay,
Yeah. Well,
I
some
know
things are hard to control too.
because they're a concentrated carbohydrate because they're ground, okay, and then they're pushed
Yeah.
together and
Yeah.
made into tortillas.
Yeah.
But if you eat regular kernel corn, like corn on the cob or something, it
Yeah.
doesn't affect me. It's
That's cool.
because it's the whole natural food.
Yeah.
Pop, even I can do some popcorn. I'm not doing it now. I don't
Yeah.
have the herbs for it, so I'm staying away from it.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't. And when I did make popcorn, I would use uh, palm oil, that the
Cool.
orange palm oil.
Yes.
That's what they used to use back in the day before you were even born.
Yeah.
I was going to the movies back in the day in the 60s. Kid, I remember they had the orange oil and the
Cool.
popcorn. That's
Yeah.
what they make the popcorn with.
And it's
Was
healthy, like that full full saturated fat. Like then for a while they tried to make us feel like it was not healthy, and now they're like, oh, actually it is healthy. Sorry,
Yeah,
bringing it
that's,
back.
yeah, coconut oil or
Yeah,
palm oil.
yeah.
And the other thing that I like are, again, like those Ezekiel tortillas. I crisp them up. I think I wrote it down for you, but you crisp them up in the oven, make them real hard, and then you bring them out and you put all your toppings, your sauce, your toppings on, and then you put them back in the oven for about 425 for like 12 minutes, 13 minutes, and you got a great pizza.
Awesome. Well,
It's an inch pizza, and you can put whatever you want on it, and it's only 24 carbs in that tortilla. And
cool.
trust me, you only need one of those
Yeah.
because it's very filling when you make it your own way.
Yeah.
With, you can put your meats on there, you can put your cheese on there, you can put
Nice.
your olives and your garlic and whatever you want,
Yeah.
And that's low carb. I mean, if that's your main meal of the day, because the rest of the time I'm having, I went to low fat yogurt
Yeah.
because I did non-fat yogurt on the diet. I actually did a cup of non-fat yogurt with blueberries. I thought, I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
I still lost weight the next day.
Yeah.
For me. And then when I got in P3, I added, threw in some sunflower seeds on there.
Yeah.
And it's like ambrosia. I mean, to start getting the fats back in my diet. I mean,
Yeah.
but so I did the non-fat yogurt, and then I tried to have the full-fat Wallaby is the best organic because they don't have the Wallaby brand because they don't have any additives in it. And I tried to eat like the full-fat yogurt like I used to, and I really don't like it.
Oh.
So what I did was I got a non-fat and a full-fat, and I mixed them together. So
Perfect.
I got
Perfect. Then it's the taste you like.
that for me is a cup of yogurt, and I don't measure. I just put some in a bowl.
Yeah.
With some stevia, I mix it up, make it sweet, and then I put in my blueberries and my sunflower seeds. That's my meal. That's my breakfast.
Nice.
But I do have a protein shake in the morning when I get up with my green powder.
Gotcha.
And I just, and I'll have wine in the afternoon sometimes with cheese. And I have all kinds of sliced cheese. It's already sliced up in Tupperware things.
Gotcha.
And I don't drink without some cheese.
Yeah.
So that way I don't, and I never get like the blood spike. I never get
That's great.
gaining weight. I don't gain.
Yeah.
So it works for me.
That's great. Yeah. And you also mentioned that you're kind of mostly vegetarian, not completely, but mostly.
Yes.
So how did you do phase 2 then for the most part? What was your kind of eating pattern, or what foods did you utilize for phase 2, being that you didn't eat as much meat?
Well, the first week of phase 2. Phase 2.
Phase 2. Yeah.
I got the Angus, totally natural, grass-fed, whatever, 96% fat-free beef. Okay?
Yeah.
And I would get a pound of that, and I would bring it home and not fry it up, but brown it up in my cast iron skillet, which I had already wiped out with a paper towel and vinegar. That way you can use it. It'll take off all the oil residue. So
Gotcha.
I would cook it in there, and then I would add like a cup and a half of water after it got brown, and like about 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning. I make my own in bulk because I love that stuff so much.
Yeah.
I add to all kinds of things. But you can just buy the kind that doesn't have any sugar in it or any additives. So you can, buy taco seasoning mix or whatever. So that's what I do, and I add a little salt to that. And then I just put it in like a little plastic thing, and I split it up between 4 meals. So I have a pound of hamburger would last me 4 meals, so it's basically 100 grams or a little bit more per meal.
Okay.
And I would put it on like romaine lettuce. Yeah. And I'm curious, again, I don't mix those veggies. Like, I just haven't done it. It's necessary for me because I enjoy, and so I would have the romaine lettuce, had a big plate of it.
Yeah.
Pour that, taco meat on there, and it was just, it's ambrosia when you're on diet. And I didn't gain. I lose when I have my beef.
Yeah. And
even that day, I may even have like the 1 egg and 3 egg whites. So I buy the organic liquid egg whites. I them out just like it says, and I do a large egg, not a jumbo egg, because it's just better when you're on the diet.
Yeah.
It's less fat.
Yeah.
And so I'll have that. Some days I'll have that and the beef, and I still lose weight the next day.
Yeah.
I found if I made sure that I was getting like about 60 grams of protein a day,
yeah,
I would lose better.
Cool.
And I was also doing oneworldway.com shakes, and I would just mix them with water. They're very tasty. You just get the vanilla. I mean, the chocolate's good and stuff, and they have strawberry, but the vanilla is just great.
Awesome.
And
Actually, it's funny. My dad uses that brand of whey protein
it's
powder.
amazing
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like a big old thing, right?
Oh, yeah, and when you first take it, you will get a buzz from it if you're not used to those nutrients,
Yeah.
because I believe the energy spike that I had from taking that. And there's
Cool.
no sugars in it, like it's no
Right.
carbs. I mean,
Yeah.
basically no carbs.
Yeah.
And some days what I would do is I would just do 3 of those shakes. I'd get up in the morning and have one, and I'd have one for lunch. I just experimented when I was on P2.
Yeah.
I did a few times, and the next day I lost weight,
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I would just do the 3 shakes, and
Yeah.
I would still have my apple and my Melba. And then if I just wanted to have and I only did those classic Melba, just the plain ones.
Yeah.
Uh, and but if I just wanted a protein day, that's what I would do, 3 shakes. And I
Gotcha.
was totally fine because I'm never hungry.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Know that, that hCG is working, and the injections are better, I think, because I was in ketosis every day, and I would only have like a trace or small amount, and that's what you want. That's healthy.
Yeah.
I would test every day, so I knew I was losing weight. And really, on this last round, what was so surprising to me was that I really never stalled.
Cool.
I really never stalled. I mean, I was losing, like, because I weigh every day. I
Yeah.
would lose 2 ounces, then 2 ounces.
Yeah.
And I might go a day with the same thing, and then I would lose 4 ounces. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was slow. It was just so slow this time, because I think it has to do with my age. Plus, I'm not really, quote unquote, overweight.
Yeah. You're
Right?
small. Yeah.
And the closer you are, this
Yeah.
is so true, the closer you are to your ideal weight, the slower you lose it. It's
Yeah.
just a fact. And it's happened to me,
Hmm.
because like I said, I struggled. So I did like 3 or 4 struggling rounds between 2012 and 2016. So I saw that time and again. It's just
Yeah.
typical.
So you just have to be patient, huh? And just be aware of that and be okay with it.
22 pounds, 22 pounds,
That's
and really, I
great.
like to say I melted away, because
Yeah.
I don't want to say I lost, because I don't want to find it again.
Yes.
So I melted away 22 pounds, and it took me 50 days, because
Yeah.
my body is just saying, okay, I'm going to let you have this, but you've got to be patient, okay?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like a little package with a bow. It's like a Tiffany box. It's like, it's like, you're going to get the gift at the end.
Yeah.
And I use that analogy because my daughter isn't Tiffany exactly. So I
Cute.
put those boxes. But that's the way I look at it. I look at it as a gift that I'm going to have at the end. I get to unwrap it.
Yeah.
And, I love watching my body change. And, the inches are what's so amazing. I lost 22 pounds on this last round. Like I said, it did take me 50 days,
Yeah.
plus another 3, because you stay on the
Right.
diet, right?
Yeah.
And I lost 38.5 inches.
Awesome.
That's a lot of inches.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
clothes just fit now. I mean, everything fits again.
That's
I'm so
great.
happy.
Yeah, no, and it's true, you guys, because I do get emails about this a lot. Pace of weight loss, what's normal and scientifically logical even is going to be very different if you're 100 pounds overweight or you're only 15 pounds overweight. Um, you have to think about it from that perspective, because sometimes you're like, man, this lady lost a pound a day. But you have to consider, like, if her starting point's 100 pounds overweight, and also how she was eating prior to starting. If it's her first round and she's coming off of eating junk food like I did my first round, there's more water weight loss when you're starting from a place like maybe your third round. You've already been eating healthy, you don't have a lot of water weight to lose.
That's
And then
right.
your daily metabolic rate, that this is the sad unfortunate part, is as you get healthier, it's actually healthy that your metabolic rate does go down, because you're just a smaller person. Like, you don't have, it doesn't take as much calories to move your arm now, like as it did when it was twice as big. So that's just the scientific fact. So your body can only lose as much as you're burning, plus we're eating the 500. So like your weight loss results, that's totally normal. I had like a zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.3 average per day by the end of my final round too, because yeah, once you're getting that small, and I think the big thing is, I just want you guys to know that it's normal. Like, don't feel like my body's failing me because of that and I need to find a way to make it be double, because you're just not going to figure that out. That's not going to happen. And you're just going to be frustrated and give up, Instead, just stick it out and know that. And like Pamela here, you will get to the end. You just have to know that that's the process at this point as you're getting smaller, that you're going to have a lower average, and that's fine.
It's so true, because I've seen people do this diet and that are quite overweight,
Yeah.
and they lose 40 pounds in 40 days
Right.
because their body is quite willing to give it up.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
overburdened.
Yeah.
They're and everything, and so the body is willing to just let it go, because
Right.
if you're obese, you're going to lose more weight.
Yeah.
It's just common sense,
Yeah.
And when you get to that point and you realize that when you're down, close to your goal weight, you just, you just have to be patient. And I don't want to do another round. I never want to have to do another round.
I don't
want
either.
to.
Yeah.
Look at how long you have held it off. I mean, that you have just changed your lifestyle, and that's the same with me. I know what I have to do. I have to get up. I have to move.
Yeah.
And I have to do something every day. I have one of those Simply Fit boards. I love that thing.
Cool.
You know the twister where you stand on it and you twist?
I think I've seen it. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
I mean, it literally whittles you down in the middle. Like, it's great. And I'll just stand there with my 2-pound weights, and I'll just watch TV for like a half an hour, sometimes for an hour.
Yeah.
And I also have my Total Gym, where I do like a 20-minute, workout. On that, I'll walk 40 minutes. Sometimes I'll walk for an hour every other day or something.
Yeah.
I don't have like a set thing. I just do what feels good to me.
Yeah.
And that helps keep your weight off. And then the other thing too is I have a very sedentary lifestyle, because I'm no longer riding horses. And that's another story, because I don't want to buy a medical supplement.
Oh, gotcha.
I would have to buy more, medical insurance, and I really cannot afford it. I just won't do it. It's not worth it. Let me put it that way. It's not worth it.
That's a bummer. Yeah.
Because you never know. Like, if you get hurt, I mean, my Medicare only pays, 80%, and that 20% can kill you.
Yeah.
Like, financially, if you get hit. So I stopped doing that.
Gotcha.
But I also design knitwear. I design my own knits. So I'm a
you
knitter.
mean like knitting stuff?
Yes, one stitch at a time.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I own patterns and things, and I'm currently working on having those marketed.
Very
cool. It's a lot of sitting. So I have to get up. I have to get in a routine of getting up, moving, getting up and doing something for so many, because it's very sedentary. And sometimes I just stand and knit, Right. And I just have to do that because we forget, we forget. Just stay
the day
still.
flies by.
Yeah, and I know you do CrossFit. I did CrossFit for 6 months. I loved it.
Oh, did you?
When I lived in California, I did it, and I loved it. I did it 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
I did the class where the people are like older.
Yeah. They call it the Masters Division.
Exactly. And it was great. I loved it. But then I started having problems lifting over my head, where I hurt something.
Oh.
And again, it was one of those things. I tried. I really, really tried, and I just couldn't maintain it. And so I just said, you know what? Because you know what? When you get to a certain age, you kind of go, okay, my body's telling me, don't do this.
Yeah.
So I started doing it, and I was fine with that. I had great results, and I loved it.
That's cool.
Like, had a lot of muscle too,
Yeah, it's good to be safe, or whatever's gonna work for. And it sounds like you're finding ways to be active long term that are doable for you. It's like whatever's doable, and like you said, listening to your body too. Because I know a lot of CrossFitters that go like 5 to 6 days a week, and I can't do that even myself, just because of my little health things. Like, I can't go more than 3 days a week, really. So that's what I stick to, and that's okay, So
yeah. Well, my son used to be a CrossFit instructor.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so that's how I found out about it. He's always saying, "Mom, you really got to try CrossFit. Come on."
I know. We get a little bit like overexcited about it.
Yeah, I mean, he does Tough Mudders and stuff. I mean, the guy he's a beast.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
He's not CrossFit anymore. He's doing the Tough Mudders and the World Mudders and stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. So you mentioned I think we covered just about everything, but you mentioned that you've done prescription drops, homeopathic drops, and injections. Can you just kind of tell us in a nutshell how you feel about them and what the difference was? Like, because you said in the end that you felt injections were the best for you. So why is that? In a
Okay,
nutshell?
well, I did the prescription drops the first time, the first half round, and they worked great.
Yeah.
And then I found this hCG, the homeopathic
Yeah.
spray,
Yeah.
and that worked for me too.
Yeah.
Now, it worked, but I don't know that it really gets your fat circulating the same way. I don't know about that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it worked for me at the time,
Yeah.
but I just noticed it was always a struggle because I would use that spray, up until I found the injections here. So I did drops and then spray in between, several rounds of that, probably
Yeah.
4 or 5 over those years I told you about.
Yeah.
And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try the injections. And I love the injections because, oh, I know what it was. Because when I would do keto strips on the spray, I didn't have the ketosis.
Oh, interesting. So you actually tracked your ketones
Yes, that's why
both
I was like,
times.
I'm going to see if I have ketones on the injections. And yes, I do. And even after
Huh.
after on P3,
Yeah.
I still burn a little tiny bit every day. It's a little trace amount. So I
Huh.
think it's healthy just to do that. I mean, that
Interesting.
body's getting rid of it. It's not building up, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah,
So
so
you
it's a health.
had ketones on the injections, but not on the homeopathic drops.
No,
And were you eating like about the same on both phase twos?
I did everything the same way, everything except
Interesting.
for this injection round. Like I said, I threw caution to the wind and I did, non-fat yogurt.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I did cottage cheese. That was a big staple for me. I would do that. Some days I would do the eggs, the egg with 3 whites, and
yeah,
then cheese, and I would still lose. I
yeah,
mean, I was still losing. So those things worked for me as vegetarian. The shakes that I
yeah.
talked about, even the Organifi.com green powder, I would put that in my shake
Yeah,
because there's no sugars in it. I mean, it's literally
right.
like no added sugars and stuff.
Yeah.
And also on this injection round, I didn't lose any hair. you
Oh,
know,
speak to that about the hair loss thing. Yeah, you wrote about that.
honestly, I really do. I think there is a connection between that homeopathic spray and losing your hair because I had none on this round, but a lot of people had the hair loss because I was part of a group that shared online and stuff.
Yeah.
And people had, where they lost hair, like their hair started falling, and I had the hair falling. Well, I had the hair falling when I had all the stress too, so that could have been
It's
part of
true.
it.
Right. Yeah.
Added more nutrients to my diet about 6 months ago, and my hair has just gotten so thick. It's like it's thick again,
That's
and
good.
it took a while for all of that to like normalize. But
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
you
so
mentioned that for your hair, so we'll link to this in the show notes, you guys. She has a green powder from Organifi.com. And then
yes,
you also mentioned something from Wild Essentials. It's an algae supplement.
yeah, it's this stuff here. Um, I have taken this since 1997. It used to be Celltech,
Wow.
but it's New Earth is the new name of this product.
Okay.
But it's just algae. It comes out of the Klamath Lake in
Okay.
Oregon. I
Right.
take
I've heard of
I
it, I
take
think.
2 grams a day, which is 8 tablets, and I get the tablets because they're small.
Okay.
And I
Cool.
take 2 grams a day. That's the recommended amount. And people use
Gotcha.
it smaller because you'll notice it when you first start taking it. Especially if you get capsules, you'll go, "Wait, the lights are
Woo!
on."
Yeah, gotcha. And then you said selenium too. You take some selenium.
I do. I take the BioTrue Selenium. I get it from InfoWarsLife.com.
Cool.
Um, and they also have it at globalhealingcenter.com.
Okay.
Anything you order off of there, those folks are amazing, and their
Cool.
supplements are the best I have ever found for liver cleansing, colon cleansing. And that's the other thing. This is a good thing, and I didn't mention it when you're asking those questions,
Yeah.
is this oxy powder from Global Healing Center.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, when you feel like you're backed up on the diet because you don't go as much,
Yeah.
if you're not, if your body's not functioning as well as it should be, you won't be going very much.
Right.
And you could just do that, just take 4 of those at night, and the next day, magic.
Wow, cool.
It is truly, truly amazing. Globalhealingcenter.com oxy powder.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes too, you guys. Awesome.
Yeah, take it on the diet. It doesn't even affect anything. There's no
Dang.
oil or anything like that.
That's great. Thank you for that. Ask you, since you have done well with phase threes, the ones you've done, what are your kind of your main tips for being successful in phase three?
Well, again, staying under 100 carbs a day.
Yeah.
Um, what am I eating? I mean, I'm pretty much eating the same things. I mean, like I said, the low-fat yogurt. I eat one main meal a day. That's usually mid-afternoon, like around 2,
Okay.
from 12 to 2.
Gotcha.
And I haven't gone back to Mexican food. I haven't had rice. I know I have had black bean burgers. I do have a black bean burger
In phase
recipe.
three or phase four?
Phase 3, I made these black bean burgers. The pioneer woman, her black bean
Yeah.
burger rocks. Let me tell you,
Awesome.
easy, super easy, and I love it. And I make it a deluxe, and it's like that big. It's made with
Wow.
all kinds of like jalapeno peppers, chilies,
Nice.
lettuce, you name it. Lots of mayo. I use that green, what do you call it? Follow your heart rapeseed mayonnaise, because
Okay.
I like
Cool.
anything with canola oil or any kind of canola. So I don't eat any of that, folks.
Yeah.
I word to the wise, stay away from it because it's not good for your body. Your body doesn't like it.
Yeah.
It's industrial oil. It's not
Right.
really you put in your body.
Yeah.
And I probably should do coconut oil like every day, but I don't always.
Yeah.
I don't do it as often as I probably should, just because it is good for you.
Yeah.
That kind of. I'm honestly just not hungry.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of fat, and I make eggs. I'll have 2 or 3 scrambled eggs with lots of butter. I love to put my butter in. I have a lot of butter, and I buy that Kerrygold grass-fed.
Oh, I love Kerrygold.
It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, it tastes so good, and it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
Avocados, just a lot of tomatoes. Of course, it's tomato season. I have my own little plants out there.
Nice.
Tomatoes. I guess really the main thing is I've stayed away from white stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just so true. It's a great rule of thumb. It doesn't mean that you can't ever have it. It just means you
Right.
need to do it in moderation.
Yeah, that it's
That's,
not a mainstay in your life, you know.
no, it's not like, oh my gosh, I gotta have. And remember, I told you about those scheduled dates with the
Yes, yeah, right.
one. Oh my gosh, those are the best.
The
Like
turtles. So that's one of your phase four. You guys, she has a phase four treat that she has, little turtles. Yeah, and we'll put the recipe maybe in a picture that you sent in there. So this is a
yeah.
phase four though because it has dried dates. So they're
Mhm.
natural sugar and you can have them in small amounts if you're like Pamela and can control your natural
Yeah,
sugar consumption. But
yeah,
not for phase three. But yeah, but there are a lot of women like you that like you know how to eat right and it's not that hard. It was just like you said, the weight thing was a stress problem, you know.
right,
And
exactly.
so once you use hCG to get that off, it's like now you have the tools to maintain again, and you're very careful what you put in your body, and you have that self control, you know. So then it's nice being able to utilize things like the dried dates or to have a treat now and then. It's like makes this caramely thing, right? And you said you put them in the freezer.
Yes, and you just pull them out, and they're chewy with that, half of a pecan. And here in Texas, we get, they have pecans, I guess they call them here.
Yeah,
Pecans.
pecans.
They're huge, like they're super
Cool.
and just
Oh, nice.
so really good. And pecan season is, in November, like that's when
Okay,
the season comes in,
get that
and
harvested.
stock up. Like I just buy them; they're like $9 a bag, and I'll just
Wow.
buy a whole bunch and keep them in the freezer, for later because once they're gone, they're gone,
Yeah.
and it's better than any other kind I've
That is
ever found.
awesome. That sounds wonderful. And then you also mentioned that during phase three that you were just careful to not add too many calories too quickly of even the right foods or you would gain. And I thought that was a kind of a key point.
Right? It's so
Um,
true.
yeah, and
So
that's
true.
actually why the phase three program that I have you guys is that same thing. It's not that the foods can't be eaten, but when you add calories too quickly, it just seems to often present a problem. But when you do it gradually, you can raise your calories. Just you got to do it over a period of weeks. And so it sounds like that's what worked for you too.
Yeah, exactly. And, I would have eggs and butter, okay, right after.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a sliced avocado with that and some sour cream. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I really like to have.
Yeah.
You can't have that the first day or the second day.
Yeah.
You have to like ease in slow.
Yeah.
And then, by the second week, I can have that. I can have a meal with half of an avocado and some sour cream. And, and I also have handmade or homemade, if you will, green sauce,
Nice.
salsa.
Yeah.
It's okay, you can have that. But just, because again, the fat is, your body's not used to all that fat, right?
Right.
So it was using its own fat. But then when you add like too many of
Yeah.
anything
Right.
right away, I find it's the first week I have to really just follow the diet, continue to follow the diet with a few additions of oils like
Yeah.
coconut oil, olive oil. Make your dressings with that. Blue cheese dressing, I make that. I can have it on salad. I don't have a problem with that.
Cool.
Sunflower seeds. You just add a few fats
Yeah.
for me, and then after that I can add. And I have to be honest. I mean, I did at the end of P3, like the last week of P3, I started having those dates with the pecan,
Yeah.
and would only have two or three.
You're
I
right.
wouldn't. That's enough for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I go, wow, okay, that's enough, because it's not like I'm stopping myself. It's like my body's saying, okay, no more sugar.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I just really listen to that, because I get blisters if I have too much sugar. I have blisters pop up. I don't,
Wow.
but I'm just saying, in the
Right.
past, my body just goes, no more sugar. I mean, I really do look at it as poison
Yeah.
in a sense. Like
Right.
I love to look at baked goods. I'll just go and look at them because I love stuff like that. I love to bake. I'm really like a homebody. But I can't have that stuff around. So I like to go look at other stuff that people have created.
Yeah.
But I don't want it. I don't even want it. I just like to look at it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Once you're
it's just,
away from it long enough, like it sounds like you really don't consume it at all much. It's yeah, you don't crave it anymore. Even for a sugaraholic like me, like it's not a hard thing to stay away from anymore, just because it's not in my life anymore. So your body kind of forgets. I mean, it looks good and all, but it's not hard to like no, that's just not what I eat.
it's just temptation there. And I have to say, I do my coffee. I have this coffee that I buy that is just, for me, it's just ambrosia, and
Yeah.
it's from lifeextensions.org.
Cool.
And it's an organic, they do a special roasting process, so it keeps all the antioxidants in there. They have a
Ooh.
mocha flavor,
Cool.
mocha flavor, and a vanilla. And
Wow.
that's so good. And you know what? I just pour that half and half in there until it's just the right shade.
Yeah.
I do not, and I have at least 2 cups of that in the morning. Like I'll make in my little French press thing that I have.
Yeah.
I drink that whole thing, and I put my half and
Nice.
half. I'll bet you I probably consume about a quarter of a cup in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 cups.
Mhm.
I don't gain, and
That's
I
great.
love that. I mean, that's what I look forward to in P3. I look forward to the fats that I get to add,
Yeah.
not going back to old, destructive habits.
Right.
So I don't, I haven't gone back to tortilla chips. That's not going to happen right now. I mean, I
Yeah.
just can't even imagine doing tortilla chips, because I know what happens when I get started on them, and I know what my blood sugar is going to look like the next day.
Yeah.
That's my motivation, because
Yeah.
I want to be here for my grandkids. I want
Yeah.
to be here for my family, and I know that that's just starting down the wrong road, and it's just there's nothing better than, like they say, there's nothing better than how being thin feels. I mean, to me, it's just
Yeah.
such a motivating thing, because I was my happiest when I was thinner.
Yeah.
Most of my young adult life till I was 30, it wasn't until I was 30 that I started gaining weight,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really completely conscious. I mean, I knew it was happening, but I didn't think it was a big deal, because you're 30, you
Yeah.
feel like you're indestructible.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I'm not going to go back. My rule of thumb is just white stuff. Stay away from it.
Yeah.
Eat it occasionally on special occasions, and I love white rice, but I'll probably only eat a little bit, but it has to be mixed with
Right.
beans or meat or something. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
just
totally.
eat a whole bowl of
Right.
carbohydrate, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Pro-
good. Those are all really good tips. Thank you for that. Do you have any just memories of like how things were before and now that you've lost weight? Like, are there any experiences that are different for you as far as how you feel in your body?
Well, it feels great not to have like a roll of fat around the middle or a muffin top.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really, I have a lot of low rider genes. Like,
Yeah.
I touched those with a 10-foot pole, like when I was bigger,
Yeah.
because it's a muffin top, right?
Right.
And so now I can wear those things and not be conscious of a muffin top. Or around the middle, because this is where my family, the women in my family gain it, because it's just a Northern European thing, right? It's right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I don't have that anymore. Plus, the blood sugar thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
it's
a big
just
deal.
so, the contrast is so amazing. It's just so huge
Right.
that I just know, now I know that when I have certain feelings inside, it's not good. I mean,
Right.
my blood pressure was off the chart. It was going
Really.
off. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Before I was on the diet, my blood pressure, that's what the heart fluttering thing was. It was my blood pressure.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, like I didn't even know until I went to the doctor that that's what was going on. So now I
Gotcha.
know the difference. So yeah, I definitely feel better in my body, and I'm not obsessing. The other thing too, I do not obsess over the number on the scale. Like I told you, I might weigh once a week,
Yeah.
but I can look in the mirror and I can tell whether I'm, maintaining,
Yeah.
because I can see that I don't have any fat accumulation.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
don't know about you, but like over time I've gotten really in tune with my body, maintaining for a period of time so that like you said, I do weigh periodic. I don't weigh every single day. Like sometimes I'll weigh every day for a week, but then sometimes I won't weigh for a whole week. So it varies. But I do periodically weigh at least just because
sure.
things can, be like, But also I know where I gain too. I'll gain in my belly and then also my upper hips and I can almost tell, like I can feel if it's a little bigger or not. Like it's a funny thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I do actually. When I gain weight back, I gain it all over, evenly, all over my body. So, too. I mean, that's what's happened, and that's why people would look at me and they wouldn't think I was fat
Yeah.
because
Because
I
you
have a
carried it well.
exactly, and I didn't have a quote unquote problem area that you could identify because I wore appropriate clothing for whatever size I was.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to wear a tight fitting T-shirt like you have on if I have rolls of fat. Like
Yeah.
that is not going to happen. I'm going to wear like
Yeah.
something blousy or
Yeah.
whatever. I
Right.
mean, that's just me. I mean,
Sure.
I feel more comfortable. Because you feel self-conscious. I mean, I
Yeah.
did. I
Right.
felt conscious if I had something. I wouldn't even think of wearing certain things.
Right. Right.
And
Gotcha.
and the other thing I wanted to mention too is those lipo shots.
Yeah.
Those are amazing.
Oh, okay. So you've done the lipo shots?
I actually have a couple left because I wasn't putting enough in the syringe. I was only putting like
Yeah.
50.5
Gotcha.
instead of the whole syringe. You're supposed to fill the whole thing up and
Yeah.
inject every other day.
Okay.
And so I was a whole week there or so that I did it wrong, and so I've added it back. Now I can't show you here because I'm covered up, but I I have a hard time pinching like the fat
Yeah.
to stick, and so now I have little bruisings where those injections are going in because
Gotcha.
I don't have the
There's no
fat.
fat. Yeah. Right. That
That's
starts
how I
happening.
know that I'm not gaining because as I've been doing this lipo stuff, I'm losing. You
Wow.
know, I mean, I'm losing it because
Yeah.
I can't even find a spot that it doesn't hurt to inject.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, did you
it's
do the lipo shots on phase 2 and phase 3 or just phase 3?
I just did them on phase 3, and I wish I
Cool.
had ordered them in the beginning because you save $50.
Yeah. So
So
you feel like they helped you actually lose fat in phase 3 even,
absolutely,
it sounds like.
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I definitely lost a couple of pounds on
Wow.
phase 3. And the other
Interesting.
thing is it does rev up your metabolism because I feel warm all
Oh.
the time. I mean, my husband and I used to have like we're so there was such this divergence between us because he
Really?
likes nice and cool, and I was like, it's too cold
I'm
in here.
freezing.
So of course that's thyroid problems, right?
Right, yep.
Or I'd be wearing something, covering my arms and legs and stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, I'll say, hey, darling, do you mind if I turn it down a little bit because it's feeling warm in here?
Wow.
It's fine. And so that's what I've noticed is that I'm a lot more comfortable just sitting around all day. Whatever I'm doing, I'm
Yeah.
more comfortable. I'm not as
Interesting.
I didn't like the cold air on my skin. It just didn't feel good. So that's a
Interesting.
big change for me. And
Wow.
I think that's I think it's the lipo shots because they're supposed to keep your metabolism up.
Yeah. Do your lipo shots that you're taking do they have B12 in them?
Yeah, they're the ultra burn.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, the Ultra Burn from New Image.
Whatever's
Okay.
in that, it's like a big,
Yeah.
it's a cocktail of vitamins.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it has inositol and choline and all that stuff. And then does the shots you do, is it the short subcutaneous injection or is it actually, oh, it is then, huh? Is it a
It's
short
the
needle?
same syringe. It's the same syringe that you do
The shots,
for,
the hCG shots. Okay,
except you
gotcha.
fill the whole thing up to the
Gotcha.
five mark.
Yeah.
Only filling it up to like that much.
You're like, what? Cool. Oh, well, thanks for the
But
feedback on that. Because
yeah,
you probably know I had sent an email out asking everyone what they thought of them, and I got a lot of replies. I'm formulating the blog post now. Yeah, so I was just curious because everyone feels differently. It sounds like though that like the lipo maybe can play a good role as long as you're also eating properly in phase three, which is what
exactly.
you're doing. And it
Yeah.
sounds like with the way you're eating, it's allowing it to help your body effectively still burn fat versus, yeah, if you're just kind of eating whatever and taking it, it's probably not going to help you, but that's nice.
Also, if I exercise, if I just add exercise in there, I'll lose some weight.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, so I have to make sure that I keep it a certain calorie level,
right.
and I have that little calorie counter book. I haven't even gone to it since I've been on the diet because while I was on the diet and I used the Calorie King 2017 version of carbs, fat, and calories,
Okay,
I
yeah,
I have it pretty much memorized because I was referring to it every day for my calories and stuff, and I had never counted calories before.
gotcha.
So it has everything in there, and it's
Cool.
so easy to read. I mean,
Great.
it's just such a great, handy little guide.
Nice.
And I just have it in the back of my mind, like I know which foods have high carbs and which don't.
Right.
And I really don't count fruits at all. I don't count veggies.
Yeah,
I count processed carbs, like the
right.
tortilla. I don't
Yeah,
count the carbs in yogurt, but
yeah,
I know that I'm not eating enough to go over. You know what I mean?
right.
Because I already know I have
Right.
a running
You
thing in
have it
my
in your head and you know you're not overly full. You know, like you said, if you feel strange and you ate something different, you're just in tune with your body now, is what it sounds like, which is what you can get from this process, and then you can make more intuitive decisions and be able to correct easily and know what caused something. And so that's just great.
Well, I was in tune with my body really well when I did like those first 3 rounds. That's how I became trained. That's how I became in tune with my body
Yeah.
was by doing hCG. It's just a godsend, I think.
Yeah.
Really, it is to get in tune with the choices you make and the ramifications they have every single time.
Yeah.
Everything, and I really believe that all of our health problems have everything to do with what you put in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to that. And the food supply now is so perverted with the
Yeah.
GMOs and all these things that I stay away from everything that, I mean, I eat organic whenever I can. Of course, there's places you go and you're not going to get
Right.
it.
But
But that's still,
overall, yeah.
yeah. And, I just, I choose to purchase my food from organic places. Where I live, there's a few places you can do that.
Yeah.
I just know what's in it. And that's a big part of it right there. And then supplementing, and of course, I need to supplement. I mean, I just feel better when I supplement with these other things. And occasionally I'll test. I'll just ask myself, okay, do I really need 3 of these? How about 2?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a way that I do it with a pendulum, and I know that might sound woo-woo to some people, but that works for me.
Yeah.
It just always worked for me. And so occasionally I'll go, you know what? I don't think I need so many of these. And that's what I did with the autoimmune X. I cut back now.
Yeah.
And I'm down to, I don't remember if I told you, but I'm down to 4 a
Okay,
day.
so like a maintenance dose at 4.
I've gone down
Gotcha.
to 4 because I did 4 for a while, and then I started to notice that, you know what, I think I better go back up.
Okay.
I called the guy, and he said, yeah, you might need to do that. So I did. So you just kind of, you
Yeah.
know, you just play with it until you find the right spot for you, just like you do with that hCG, because
Right.
the 200, is it 200? Is that the number? 20?
For the IUs, like the dosage?
Yeah, is it IU? Is it 20 IUs or
Some
200?
200 IUs would be the dosage. On the syringe, it would be like 20. Yeah.
Right, right,
But
right.
that's what some people are prescribed. Yeah, but you ended up being on a much lower dose, right?
I had to find it though because I started to feel hungry in the first week. Like at the end of the first week, I
On
started to,
200 IUs?
yeah, on this
Yeah,
mild.
that's a high dosage for especially for a
Then I,
smaller person like you.
yeah, then I found your website,
The
page.
dosage, yeah.
Yeah, and I slowly went down like 10 IUs or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, until I tried 125 and that wasn't good for me, but I found 130 and it was perfect. That was my number.
Awesome.
Then also what people, you actually end up with more hCG, so you can actually go a few more days, and I was grateful for that because
Yeah.
I really needed to do the 50 days to lose the 22 pounds.
Right.
So I had more injections because, it's 40 some injections, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't need it, and Dr. Simeon says
Yeah.
125.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad that you found the dosage like that and that you did tweak it because for if any of you guys are doing injections and you're hungry, it very well may be a dosage issue. That's like the number one reason for abnormal hunger on hCG. And what she's referring to is my post. It's hcgchica.com/dosage. And it's a very, very long, detailed post now, and I have all of these dosage stories of other HCGers who've written in and how adjusting their dose changed things for them. And it's a very individual thing, but it's very important to do because you feel drastically different when you're on the wrong dosage for you, and then when you're on the right one, your hunger is just not there. So it's you want to do that.
The other thing too is, you can't do that. You can't tailor on drops and you can't tailor on spray.
Yeah.
And the other thing about injections, it's just so much more convenient because if
Yeah.
you have to travel or go somewhere, you can just fill your syringes before you go,
Yeah.
and you can keep them on ice in one of those little blue ice things or whatever,
Yeah.
in a little insulated deal. You can do that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about the spray going through the magnetometer at the airport. And, I mean, and the spray was twice a day, and the injections are first thing in the morning, and it's done.
Yeah, a lot of people do mention like having trouble remembering, like with the homeopathic drops, even I think it was actually like 3 times a day, and then you have to wait 20 minutes before you eat, and like it was just really like complicated and can be a little
Exactly.
tricky. Hey,
The
since you
spray,
were a flight attendant, do you mind if I ask you about, because I actually get this question all the time about like, oh, I'm afraid, can I take my injections on the plane, or do I have to show them my prescription, or what about the injections, or what do you know about the rules when it comes to that? Do you know?
we're dealing with the TSA, which is
Yeah.
so. What I would suggest for you, anybody who's doing this, is that you have when you get the injections, it comes with a prescription label.
Yes. Yeah.
So just stick that little plastic sticker, the sticker on the plastic, just stick it in with your things. It's got your name,
Yeah.
it's got your prescription on there. I
Right.
would just do that as a precaution.
Gotcha.
Because nowadays they go through your stuff. Who knows what they're going to do,
Right.
right?
Now
I would just
the
say,
syringes, those would have to go, those would have to be checked baggage, right? Those couldn't go on the plane, right? The syringes?
I don't know why.
Really?
I tried it. I never tried it to be honest
Okay, I'm
because
curious.
people have insulin. They have to have it in
Yeah,
their
you're
bag.
right. I think I'm
Yeah,
like still stuck on like 9/11
yeah.
when for a while you literally couldn't bring like a toothpick or like,
No,
so
I think the limit is like for liquids, isn't it like 3 or 4 ounces or something?
yeah, like I think 2 ounces.
Injections are
Yeah.
not that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
no,
You're right.
injections
Yeah.
are fine. Just put them in like a little insulated baggy thing or
Yeah.
whatever
Right.
with one of those blue ice deals.
Gotcha.
And when you get to your hotel or wherever you go in, just freeze it again. I mean, I
Right.
was a pro at this. And I used the spray. And so what I'd have to do is hand it through and not let it go through where the baggage goes
Oh,
through.
gotcha. Okay.
So I would just hand it through to the guy and say, "Hey, this is my prescription." They don't
They
they
don't make
don't
a
care.
big
Of
deal.
course, I was
Gotcha.
in uniform, so they don't hassle you so much if you're in a
That's
uniform.
true.
I don't, now I don't fly very much anymore, to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
really, I really don't because I don't want to. I've got the KTA, which is the known traveler number.
Yeah.
I've that because I don't want to queue up in a line because I was so used to just walking up, taking cuts, and going through.
Yeah.
I can't queue up in a line. That's part of my trigger thing. I can't do it.
Gotcha. You're like,
So the
no.
number. So I'm telling you, if you want to fly, go get one of those. It's $85, and you just, it's on your little ticket. You can just walk in. You don't have to take your shoes off. You don't have to do any of that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, you just put your stuff on the bag thing on the belt, and you just walk through.
It's
And
$85 per time or per year?
for a 5-year thing, it's kind of like a passport.
Really? I have never even heard of this.
Yeah, you just go to like in Dallas. You just go to this place in Dallas. It's online. It's transportation TSA. It's on there for known traveler. You just go there, and you have to go and give fingerprints, which for me was no biggie because I've done it many times throughout my
Yeah.
career.
Oh my goodness, this
And
is
you have to
awesome.
show ID. You have to prove who you are,
Yes.
and then you get this number. It takes about 2 or 3 weeks. You get the number, and then when you book your flight, you just add that to your your whatever you call it. We call it
Itinerary
a
thing? Or?
record locator. You just add it to your record,
Yeah.
and so they see that when you go up, before you go into the security line,
Yeah.
they see that, and you get to walk straight through. You don't have to go like through the line.
Wow. That's good to know.
One time doing that was worth the $85 because to be honest, because of all the terrorism and all the stuff that's happened at airports,
Yeah.
most of the places that they target are the soft targets,
Yeah.
like where people queue up, where they're in line, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of a thing to say, oh, it's queue up. Well, that's what I call it. But it's, now I don't have to because, see, I had a fear about that because I don't want to be a sitting duck standing there because I've
Right.
never do that. I've always been able to walk through.
Gotcha.
So that was big, like, for
Oh,
me.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for that tip. That's awesome.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with me today, Pamela. That was really, really useful information and so many great resources you mentioned too. So you guys, all of those links will be in the show notes for you guys, for you to check out. This is episode 51, I think. So yeah, and I hope everything keeps going well and that you keep feeling good. That's really great.
Well, thank you. Stay in touch. Whatever. If you have any questions, just you know how to get a hold of me.
Okay, sounds good.